Well, I guess we'll see how far I can push regressive infantilism. Dear Dr. Russell, peace be upon him. Regressive infantilism. Pre-Oedipal symbiosis is kind of a dirty word in psychoanalysis, or concept, I suppose, because it seems to be used as derivative of some kind of incestuous violation. And there's ways of speaking, for example, along the lines of maternal engulfment. And if you have a symbiotic relationship between mother and infant, the standard psychoanalytic view is that you only get the world through Oedipal triangulation. In other words, Oedipal triangulation is when a very small person experiences live and direct both caregivers, mom and dad or whoever, fighting, resolving, and then symbolizing all at the same time as one movement, one breath the whole way through. Fighting, resolving, and symbolizing, not in series, but all at once. Well, that's a very sophisticated teaching. How many parents are capable of that? Exactly zero. It's a monastic teaching. It's not the teaching of society. Now, it could well be that during the 1960s, there was a whole wave of first-generation feminists that figured that patriarchalism was completely over, and that therefore discipline and punishment was over. I mean, anybody familiar with Michel Foucault and Nietzsche and everything late 60s French post-structuralism, anybody that was huffing the fumes of those industrial strength solvents would inevitably wind up in a position quite comparable to Dale's. 1960s, things are going all turbines, all pistons are pumping in the direction of transcending gender binarity and gender roles and traditional family, private household structure, and so on. And so my theory, because nobody else will theorize it, including all the psychoanalysts and therapists, nobody dares theorize it, even though that's what I've been paying psychoanalysts to theorize for the past whatever decades. And anyway, what instructor would ever think to suppose? In other words, let's say you're going to get a degree in talk therapy so that you can take people's money for listening to them. and they tell you a little bit about discipline and punishment and Oedipal dynamics. But whatever it is that the aggregate of students, which is everybody I've ever met, I've certainly never met anybody that can say to me without hesitation, yeah, I've never experienced discipline, punishment, or Oedipal dynamics. I'm the only one that I've ever met. Not only that, nobody has any commentary about it. So it's not as though I bump into anybody and raise the question and they launch into their analytic of, oh yeah, well, this is the way that I think about those things that you're talking about. No, I mean, I get the reactions I get are like, I've never thought of those things before. Herr Fichte, Herr Wittgenstein. So my theory is that the society did not go in the direction that Dale assumed that it would have to. And Dale and I raised me together, taking on an entirely nonviolent rationalistic axiomatics, raising me in a private family household that looked something like a comedic monastery. I mean, it was extraordinarily fun. But then every day I had to go to jail, school. And this was just profoundly disruptive to me because school was prison. Because there was violence, there was hostility, there was all kinds of junkyard phenomena that were just baffling to me and then never got integrated because of the fact that the contrast with my home environment was utterly black and white. So it's like during the day, you go and do your jail time, and then at night you come home to like the real world, like where the normal people are. And you complain. I complained, crying and crying. I was in tears every day growing up. What the fuck? Mom, what the fuck? Is the world really that terrible? And then she would just look at me like, well, and bless her heart, I don't know what else a parent is to do in society if you have to send your child into the small jail society of little prisoners and start having to trade cigarettes on the playground and trade cigarettes on the playground and kids sucking each other off for their lunch money and everything. I mean, that's literally what it all looked like to me. Kids beating each other up. And then I go home, and it's like I'm hanging out with church cardinals and SNL writers. And you know what, Dr. Bass? It's only just gotten more and more and more and more extreme. Talk about a double session. You know, I'm running this whole scientific surveillance project on human life, right? Trying to figure the fucking thing out. And the further I get, the further I get into the research, you would think that I would be closing the gap in on getting closer and closer to where other people are. But actually what seems to be happening is the further I get, the more I peel away. So it's understandable at this point, my degree of hostility, my ahimsa, my non-violent hostility, Dr. Bass, because unless anybody, especially if they're accepting money for teaching somebody about their own mind, you better do several years of research about that person before you even begin the project. You know, if we start speculating about how much harm has been done to patients, families, individuals, by talk therapy and psychoanalysis, Because doctors accept money, but then they don't say anything. And they don't analyze you. And they refuse to record the sessions. And they refuse to even take notes. I've had these conversations over and over and over and over again with every fucking therapist. And they have no good answer. Well, Dimitri, psychoanalytic listening. Bullshit! Psychoanalytic listening. Suck my dick.